So Nikesh, thanks so much for joining me in conversation today. I'd love to dig in, if I may, into your perspective on how the lunge to online that's happened on the back of the pandemic and so many of us working remotely full or part-time has really magnified the cybersecurity challenges that you're seeing at Palo Alto Networks.
We all had to very quickly figure out a way to be able to work from home, making sure we have remote access from home, making sure companies had capacity back in the data center to handle the increased needs from all of us having to be online at the same time. And I think generally the technology industry saw a huge surge in demand from a capacity perspective, whether it's having more laptops, whether it's making sure you have remote security connections, you have data center capacity, et cetera. And you've got to make sure your technology sustains during these times. So a lot of CIOs had to go back, look at their infrastructure, the robustness of the infrastructure, and of course the security of the infrastructure to make sure, because if your online infrastructure was going to fail, it was going to destroy the last set of revenue that you had. So it really created a tremendous amount of focus on the capacity, the capability, and the security of our infrastructure.
And on the cyber risk that comes on the back of this connectivity, Nikesh, I mean, obviously, on the one hand, as business leaders, we want to make sure we're well protected. On the other hand, we have to be agile, don't we? We have to be able to react to our markets and our customers. So I sometimes wonder with cybersecurity, if it's a bit like the fire department, where 90% of the effort goes into prevention and 10% goes into putting the fires out. As you think about supporting your own customers with managing cyber risk, how do you think about it?
Well, Simon, I think cyber risk is the biggest risk today for nation states, for systems, for companies. Because if you think about it, you can cause companies to come to their knees. You can cause trading systems to shut down. The risk associated by cyber attacks or cyber hacks are tremendous. They can cause nation states to get into the systems of all kinds of enterprises as well as governments. And sometimes they act as competitive weapons or nation-state weapons against each other.
I don't know what you've seen, Nikesh, but certainly at AlixPartners, working with our clients on the front line of many of the issues they're facing, we'd for so many years been focusing on the economic cycle. Are we in a growth cycle? Are we at the top? Are we now heading down? That actually what we realized a few years ago was that governments and federal agencies have now become so good at managing economic cycles, they've lengthened. And the real issue is now the cycles of disruption. The disruptions in markets and industries are the real headwinds for businesses. And of course, COVID comes along being the mother of all disruptions. So can you just talk to us a little bit about how not just the priority of cybersecurity has increased, but also what are the things that business leaders should be thinking about as we're finding more and more living in a virtual world, in terms of managing the risks of a semi-remote workforce and an increasing reliance on data?
In this environment, we've all looked at this and seen that the trend in the long term is the continuous adoption of technology, the continuous digitization. So if you keep your eye on that, Paul, we'll see we're all getting very connected. All of our companies, our businesses are getting more and more reliant on technology. We're reliant on connectivity from everywhere, whether it's for our customers, for revenue, for customers, for customer support, or just access to basic services.
So as you think about the importance of leadership, as corporations step through the choices they have to make to stay secure but to remain agile, how do you think about that?
The first and most important thing is you've got to think cyber security as part of your overall architecture of your enterprise and your IT infrastructure. You can't go and create security afterwards. It's like trying to build a house or a hotel and say, oh, now let's go superimpose security on top of it. You can't do that. You've got to build it into the DNA of how you build your infrastructure or your enterprise. So there's a notion of I have to have ample security to protect myself. At the same time, I need to be able to bounce back swiftly if somebody comes after me, and the damage has to be minimal.
As we look forward 5 or 10 years and the trends that we're seeing, what should business leaders be thinking about to retain this resilience where we're going to become increasingly reliant on our data?
Simon, I think you've hit on something that is going to be the most important topic for the next 10 years or even 20 in the context of business. Data is the new gold. The ability to understand and track every piece of data that you can gather around your customers or around your internal processes or the way your stuff works and how to constantly improve it is going to be really, really important and critical.
What we often say to AlixPartners as well to our clients is that really risk management is something that everybody has to own. If everybody owns risk management and is vigilant, then hopefully it creates an environment where you can manage risk on the one hand, but also be agile on the other.
I couldn't agree with you more.